Guaranteed the trade school lied to him to get him in for the potential money. But they sucker in a bunch of high school kids telling them they're gonna make bank.
Tech schools are a ripoff. They're just trying to get your money. They don't care if you land a successful job. They don't care if you stay in the industry. They are there to get your money, to get you very slightly trained, and to get you into the workforce as fast as possible.
But my sister did not go to trade school. She got paid on the job training apprenticeship, which is completely different. And that is the only thing that really completely negates the risk of paying.
What's good? I'm Donna Con Man. Welcome to the channel. We break down the drama, react to the messiness, and call out the culture. If you vibe with that, tap that like button. Want to stay tuned? Subscribe and tap the bell. No face, no fluff, just real talk.
America needs carpenters and plumbers and more people in the trades. A kid can go to a
Why is it always people that are not in the trades telling people to go into the trades?
Why is it always the trades? It's always the trades. Every single time you hear these talking heads talk about, oh, what are the alternatives to college? It's always plumber. They can't stop themselves.
Let's dive more into this trade school trend. Learn a trade and go to trade school. Why does that sound suspiciously familiar? Because we've heard this song before. First it was learn to code. Now it's trades. Next year it'll be something else. I get it. You're stuck in a soulless office job or clocking in at a dead-end gig thinking there's got to be more than this. But let me warn you, we cannot keep falling for these one-size-fits-all career salvation schemes. Remember the learn to code era? Companies were hyping tech careers left and right, but in reality they were hiring senior developers, not bootcamp grads who just learned what a loop is. Same thing with the get your CDL and make six figures pitch. Suddenly everyone rushed to trucking school. But the jobs, they wanted experience, not someone who just passed their road test last Tuesday. Now we're in the learn a trade wave. Sounds good, right? But here's the catch. Companies aren't looking to train the next generation of tradesmen. They want to replace the retiring ones with experienced workers, ready to go day one.
So I went to school to become an electrician. It took me 2 years, and I was applying for jobs for a while, being told that I was going to get a job immediately, pretty much. They'll hire anyone who knows how to swing a hammer. They'll hire anyone who doesn't even know how to use a screwdriver. Only to be met with, oh, you need 3,000 hours of experience in order to get this job. Or the majority of companies just not getting back to me at all. With job listings like, we need electricians, we need people to be here. So after about 3 months of waiting and trying to get a job, I moved into video games instead. And I got a job immediately. The only requirements were a high school diploma, and that was it. And I'm not the only one that this happened to. I know plenty of people that I went to school with that did not get a job for a long time.
Sound familiar? Because that's exactly what's happening to college grads who can't even get an entry-level job without 2 years of experience. It's happening across the board. Nobody wants to train anymore. They just want the finished product. So if you're thinking about diving into a trade, ask yourself this: are you really in it for the long haul? Because if not, you're just going to become another dropout statistic, part of the next wave of oversaturation that kills the value of the very thing you chase. College degrees got devalued because too many people flooded in. Boot camps got devalued. CDLs got devalued. So be honest, if everyone runs to the trades next, well, what do you really think is going to happen? I know some of you looking into the trades are already eyeing trade schools versus apprenticeships. And honestly, if I were getting into the trades, I seriously consider going union apprenticeship. Some union tradespeople make damn good money. I'm talking six figures with benefits, pension, and job security.
IBW 617 electrician here. Why does everybody think we're lying about the $82 an hour? Let's just look at this week's paycheck. So as you can see, this is a paycheck from yesterday, July 31st, and I worked 40 hours last week at $82 per hour. Again, that's what goes to the check. That's not the total package. And if you want to see what that looks like on the check, after taxes, union dues, and a little bit extra for 401k, here you go. $2,128.93 for 40 hours worked. That means that all you folks who say that the $82 per hour is the total package are wrong, because that's what it looks like on the check. The total package in 617 is around $130 per hour, which means we have almost $50 per hour in non-taxable income, which includes a little bit more than $22 per hour towards our retirement. So it's no cap, man. $82 per hour to the check for journeyman inside wireman in IBW Local 617. That's our minimum wage.
But here's the part people don't tell you. The locals that pay well, they're insanely competitive. you're looking at 800 plus applicants for maybe 40 or 50 slots, if that. And that application process, it can take 6 months to a year just to get selected and start.
IBW 617 electrician here. How long does it take to get into the actual apprenticeship once you submit an application? If you get in. Now, of course, this is going to depend upon which local you applied to. Some locals take applications throughout the year, some locals take applications in a few windows throughout the year, and some locals only accept application once per year. My local, 617, is that type of local. In my local, applications are accepted in the spring, once per year. Then you'll test sometime during the summer or maybe the late summer, and then you're going to have to interview if you pass the aptitude test. Now, when I did it, my interview was in December, though I think recently interviews have been more towards the beginning of the following year. So that means if you applied in the spring and you passed the test in the summer, you'd be interviewing sometime early the following year. And then typically people get let into the apprenticeship program if they're accepted, if they're at the top of the list after interviewing sometime in August the following year when the new class starts. This means if you're accepted into the Inside Wireman apprenticeship in my local, 617, it'll take about 16 months from the time that you applied to the time that you start work.
Once you're in, you're not just clocking hours. You'll be expected to complete 8,000 to 10,000 hours of on-the-job training, plus theory classes over 4 to 5 years, just to sit for your journeyman license. That's not optional in most states. It's required if you ever want to work independently or pull permits legally.
IBW 617 electrician here. What is the difference between trade school and apprenticeship? Generally speaking, apprenticeship refers to a period of time when an apprentice, a person who doesn't know the skills of a trade, is paired with a journeyman, a person who does know the skills of a trade. This on-the-job training will last for X number of years or for X number of hours. So for an inside wireman, it is 5 years and 8,000 hours on the job. During an IBW apprenticeship, you will work on a job with a journeyman for the duration of the apprenticeship and then go to class. Now, depending on the local, you might go to class for an entire week once a quarter. Or, as we do in our local, you might go to class a couple of nights a week after you get done with work. When you are done with your apprenticeship, you take the state exam and you are a journeyman whatever. In our case, a journeyman wireman. Trade school, on the other hand, doesn't require that you be working in the field or in the industry while you're taking classes. You could pay to go to a trade school while you're working another job. So while you are attending trade school, you aren't accruing any on-the-job hours. The classes you take in trade school might be very similar or identical to some of the classes you might take at an IBW training center during your apprenticeship. But a major difference is that when you graduate from trade school, you just graduated from trade school. You can't go take the state exam because you don't even have 8,000 hours of on-the-job training yet. You must have those on-the-job hours in order to become a journeyman. This means that the principal difference between apprenticeship and trade school is that when you complete apprenticeship, you're a journeyman. When you complete trade school, you're nothing.
And before you jump into a union, remember this. Unions are political. Most of them lean left, have strongholds in blue states, and come with rules, dues, and internal politics. That's not a bad thing, but it's something you need to research before you join any local, before you sign up for any trade school. Does your state require a license for your trade? Because a trade school certificate doesn't replace the years of field experience required to get that license. At best, trade school gives you a strong head start. But if you can, you might be better off working as a helper and learning on the job, getting paid to train instead of going into debt. Because let's be real, a lot of trade schools are for-profit businesses riding the learn a trade wave.
Guaranteed the trade school lied to him to get him in for the potential money. Let's talk about this. I wanted to work on cars fresh out of high school. I was a young, stupid kid. I went and signed up to trade school. It was like 30-something thousand, whatever. That's not the story. But while we were there, everybody hyped us up, telling us, you guys are going to make a ton of money. You guys are going to make money. You guys are going to make money. When I first got into this career, dude, I didn't make shit. I was lucky to make $100 a day. And honestly, I thought I was worth more than that. Looking back at it, I was, but still, I wasn't worth shit. They give you the theory and it makes you a better tech in the long run versus somebody who didn't go to school for it. And even now, I'm barely starting to make good money. Maybe like a year back, I started making good money. But they suckering a bunch of high school kids telling them they're gonna make bank. None of you guys are gonna make six figures for a while, a long while.
Things they don't tell you when you become an auto mechanic, part 1. UTI is a scam. Lincoln Tech? More like broke tech. Tech schools are a ripoff. They're just trying to get your money. They don't care if you land a successful job. They don't care if you stay in the industry. They are there to get your money, to get you very slightly trained, and to get you into the workforce as fast as possible. Sorry if I'm ruffling any feathers. I have worked with a number of UTI graduates, and every single one of them, I'm sorry, was not very great. If you want to be an auto mechanic, do it the right way. Go out, get a car, and learn. Start learning. Teach yourself. That's the best motivation you can get. Go to a dealer, get a job as a lube tech, and work your way up. Fight to get promotions. Do their classes. It does pay off. But remember, the dealership is a place of lost dreams and dead hopes. So, get out of there as fast as possible. And hopefully end up at a small mom and pop shop where they treat their people right.
They're cashing in on people's desperation, just like coding boot camps did. And if you don't know what you're signing up for, you could end up paying thousands to learn stuff that won't even qualify you for a license. If you are dead set on trade school, then do it right and do it smart. Don't dig yourself into debt for trade school just to turn around and spend thousands on tools just to start your career. Take trade class at less expensive community colleges and local vocational tech schools. Don't let anyone sell you a dream without reading the fine print. Union or not, apprenticeship or trade school, do your homework. My goal here isn't to talk you out of pursuing the trades, it's to stop you from walking in blind. Trade school is being marketed like some golden guaranteed ticket into what's left of the middle class. But the money, the pension, the benefits, none of that will save you from misery if you don't actually enjoy the work enough to get good at it. That's my 2 cents. If you liked what you heard, smash that like button. Disagree? Drop it in the comments. Got advice for folks looking to get into the trades? Share it below. Help somebody out. Until next time, Don the Con Man out.